got lots to say. Now here's Bobby and Matt.
What's happening, everybody? Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Just kind of taking this heat in. You know, the heat wave.
Well, that's
finally
the first
got
thing
here.
Matt said. As soon as I laid eyes on him, he goes, "How about this heat?" Are you at that age
It's hot in here.
where it's always the weather?
Well, I'm a sweater, right? So I walk outside and I just start dripping. And I've been out in the heat all weekend for a kids' baseball tournament. So I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling it. Well, this is the first real heat wave that we've had.
Some people are just naturally sweaters. Like Brandon is a sweater because we'll work out like three of us over in the gym here on our property. And I sweat a normal amount. But Brandon, man, it's like, all right, warm-ups. Brandon's just like drenched. But I think just naturally, some people are. Reed was like that, a crazy sweater. So that's you, huh?
Oh, that's me. I'd go through like 2 shirts in a workout session just because as soon as my pores open up, I am drenched.
Is it a hydration? Like, are you always on top of your hydration?
No, that's the issue too. I'm a cramper. Electrolyte me, IV me, give me whatever I need. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a sweater.
I've been swimming the last few days. We have a pool here, so I've been doing some laps in the pool. I did about close to half mile yesterday.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just very isolating.
Yes, you've in swimming though by yourself too. It's something that you get in the pool. It's hard to do and just continue to swim laps.
Especially when there's nothing in your ears. What I like about just working out in the gym or whatever is you can listen to music, or if I'm just walking on the treadmill, listen to a podcast. But when you're in the water, it's just you in the water. And I think there's probably something beautiful about that. But I don't like just being there with my thoughts. So I got online and I got on Amazon and I looked for a pair of swimming headphones. And they make them waterproof headphones. And so they're not cheap, and they kind of wrap around your head, and they are kind of above the ear, but they kind of fit just right. And I put them on in the house, and they sound great. And I'm like, cool, jump in the water, go in the water immediately, and as soon as I go under, nothing. And I come back out, music. And I go back under, nothing. I come back out, music. And so I didn't short them out because it says they're waterproof and for swimmers. So I'm in the middle of swimming, so I'm just going to deal with it after. So I throw the headphones on top of the pool, and then I swim. And I do like series of laps. Like I have to keep my mind stimulated. But so I'll do 14 laps, 12 laps, 10 laps, 8 laps, 6 laps, 4 laps, 2 laps, and I'm done my workout. It's about a 45-minute swim workout.
That's a solid workout right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it all freestyle? Or are you working a butterfly?
I don't swim well enough to know any of that. I wish. I did try to do, what's this one called?
Butterfly.
I tried the butterfly.
That'll work dude.
I did like 3, and I was like, I'm going to drown.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. Like your whole
Were you ever
lower
a swimmer? How did you know all that stuff?
Oh, I just grew
Watch
up
the
swimming.
Olympics?
Yeah, you watch the Olympics.
Wait, you grew up swimming?
Yeah, I would swim all the time.
Like against people?
No, hell
Oh,
no.
okay.
No.
Because we had like a lake. I mean, I could swim.
Yeah, I could always swim, but my mom was a swimmer when she was younger, so like she taught us.
That's cool.
You know, breaststroke and butterfly and all those things.
I bet you've been a good one because you're just like long and athletic. You probably missed your calling.
I miss my calling for sure. But I mean, after you listen to some of those guys in the workout regimen that they have in the morning routine.
Yeah.
And
mornings.
Mornings. And they're in the pool for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what in the world?
I always get water in my ear. I can't get it out. I swam yesterday and I can't get the water out of my ear still. The best thing that I could do that I have done is take a hair dryer to it, my wife's hair dryer, and just hold it up to my ear and let it dry out. And that works like 75% of the time.
That can't be good for you.
It sucks.
Cannot be good for you.
So these stupid headphones that I buy, I go back inside the house and look it up. And it says, by the way, if you're going to swim in these, Bluetooth doesn't work.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Apparently it has an MP3 player built into the headphones, and you're supposed to take your MP3s. Is this 2007? And drag them over to the headphone app. So I gave them to my friend Eddie today, and I was like, you can have these. This is absolutely worthless. Spent like $300 on them.
You should give it to him and just be like, hey, they're great for swimming. And
well, he doesn't
see him
even
get
swim. I
super
know.
frustrated.
It was so frustrating. But yeah, first thing Cassel said, hot enough for you? Felt like we're in like the VFW. We're like 73 years old.
So do you not feel like it's warm outside?
It's been raining so much. I'm just happy we have anything that's not rain.
Okay, I'm good with that. But so you're saying it's not hot? You're totally fine.
It's hot.
You're wearing
It's
a
hot.
sweater right now and long pants.
It's hot, but I'm fine with hot.
Okay.
For me, it would be difficult to live somewhere cold. So this is too cold for me to live in the wintertime. And I grew up in Arkansas, so I grew up in a climate like this. but this is it. I can't go any more north. Where you have lived in northern places in the winter. Is Boston? Did you live in Boston with the Patriots?
Lived in Boston.
Is that the coldest freaking place you could
No,
possibly live?
not at all. Minnesota,
Worse?
it's like being on Mars, dude.
Really?
I mean, I got there in the first October, like the last day of October, we got our first snow. Never left the ground. When we got to December, we had 2 weeks in a row where there weren't highs above zero. They said a cold front's coming through, so I back up, and everybody has the heaters in the garage. And I was like, why does everybody have a heater in the garage? You start to realize why. I back up, and I've never seen it drop below zero, and then all of a sudden it keeps going. It stops at negative 17 real temperature. I mean, there was one day where the wind chill was negative 46, and I was like, what is going on? How do people live here? And that winter goes all the way through April.
Did you kind of get used to it?
You kind of do, just because you have to operate and be a human, and so you start going out and shoveling snow, and you just clothe yourself up. And the crazy part, people adapt to it so well that when it jumped up into like the teens and the 20s for the first day after that 2 week span, you see people outside running in shorts. And I'm like, these people are savage, dude. They're savage.
Like a Southern California
that cold,
guy like you in that cold.
Yeah, man. Just, we're hardcore out there in Southern California. We adapt.
No. In Southern California, you don't adapt.
You don't adapt to anything.
adapt.
You don't have to adapt to anything.
Yeah, that sounds miserable.
It was miserably cold. And even the kids, they would go to preschool and they'd have them bring all their snow gear. And every day, as long as it wasn't past negative 20 or something like that, the kids would put on their snow gear and go outside for recess. That's how they do it there. And I was amazed.
Yeah, that's tough. This is too cold for me. Not this second, but winters here are too cold for me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It is not a cold winter here.
I would move.
Would you really?
Yes. In the winter, I would move.
No.
I would move to
Boca.
Austin.
Oh.
My favorite city. I lived there for 12 years.
Oh, I didn't know you lived there for 12 years.
Mm-hmm. The entire first part of my adult radio career, when I built my syndication company, was in Austin. I was doing pop and hip hop.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, it's Captain Caucasian, man. Yeah. Where's the coldest place you ever lived, Kevin?
Here. Yeah, live-wise, yeah, because California, Southern California, Northern. And I'm with you where this is the coldest I could ever go.
This sucks.
Yeah.
It's not even that cold in the winter, guys.
It's not that cold.
When you've lived in Minnesota, I can see how it's not even that cold in the winter.
It's 40, 30s every now and then. Blue moon, you'll get 20s.
And that sucks.
That sucks for the day.
That sucks. Can't even go play pickleball in the backyard.
I love in the South, too, how the entire community and city shuts down when a cold front, we're going to get freezing rain, and the roads are all terrible, and they don't have the infrastructure to clear them. There in Minnesota, there wasn't a day where I'd wake up and couldn't drive on the roads.
Because they have the infrastructure to prepare.
They salt,
Yeah, we don't have. Why would we
snow.
invest a bunch of money in that if it happens twice a year?
I don't know. Well, maybe people need to get to work.
Maybe that's what it is. More getting to work.
My kid-
Less being
my kids
cold,
don't-
more getting to work.
Yeah,
You heard it
getting to work.
here.
I
He
don't
sounds
know.
like he's from Minnesota.
Yeah. Like he really is offended by us being
Minnesota.
it's so cold.
Oh,
Let's start with some Tom Brady stories.
yes. All right.
Tom Brady reportedly said no to the Raiders adding Aaron Rodgers and Sam Darnold. It's from Yahoo Sports. Also, I don't think that's at the same time.
Does he have that type of pull, though?
As
He's a
partial owner?
a partial owner, minority owner.
But I think the answer would be that's a great question to ask for any minority owner that's not named Tom Brady.
That's a good question. I mean, he does have some weight to his name, doesn't
Because
he?
now he's kind of like the face of the organization as well.
Right.
And I think that's probably a big part of the reason they let him buy part of the team. But the Raiders did add Geno Smith. But according to the Athletic's Mike Silver, Raiders minority owner Tom Brady didn't want the Raiders to sign Darnold or Rodgers. Darnold eventually signed a 3-year, $100.5 million contract with the Seahawks. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is with the Steelers. The Raiders traded a third-round selection in the 2025 NFL draft for Geno Smith and then signed him for $75 million. Yeah. What do you think? Sam Darnold, what's his ceiling? Did we see it? Did we see a ceiling in
we
Minnesota?
could have seen a ceiling. I mean, when you look at Jefferson, Addison, the supporting cast that he had there, and then also Kevin O'Connell, who he's brilliant with the quarterback position and coaching that position. He got the most out of Sam Darnold last year. Now, it would have been interesting to see if he came back to Minnesota, if he was able to replicate the year that he had. But now, again, it's always when you change organizations and a new coaching staff. You're also, regardless of what you say, you're learning a new system. You've got to get buy-in from those players, and now you have to go out and earn it again. And so for him, hopefully he goes and he's able to pick up where he left off, not at the end of last year, but throughout the season, and prove that he is worth what they paid for him. Because obviously last year, it's hard to win games in the NFL, but to do what he did, it was a remarkable season. He was up for the MVP midway through the year as well, just the way he was playing. So he's got to do that. And then everybody's going to point to in big games and big moments. But it's not just Sam Darnold when you get to the playoffs and you have some mishaps. I mean, you look at the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff, and he goes out there in the first playoff game, and what did he throw? 4 interceptions into that game. And a lot of guys get to that point, and because everybody's watching, they don't remember all the good that you did, but those playoff games matter. And so it's big games like that you have to step up in to get the credibility that you're looking for in the NFL.
And when I read this, I don't feel like it's that he didn't like Sam Darnold as a player. I feel like that's an extra $25 million you're going to have to give Sam Darnold versus a Geno Smith. Mm-hmm. So it could have been that. It could have that could have been financial. I definitely understand him not wanting Aaron Rodgers because that feels like it can get toxic very quickly. If you don't think Aaron's toxic, just what happens when you have Aaron on your team with the media clamoring.
It's more the media than anything else.
Yeah, but he brings that on himself too, right?
He does, for sure.
So I can see where Tom Brady would not want that situation, but with Aaron Darnold, he doesn't want to have to pay that amount of money for a quarterback that's probably about even. And you're also looking at your ex-coach who is now in Vegas, and you're probably, I don't know, what's Pete Carroll like? When he talk with the ownership? I imagine he has a good relationship with everybody, but that's just me seeing his face.
He's got a great relationship because he's one of those guys that brings everybody along. At the same time, I'm sure that he wants control over his team. And when I say that, there's probably collaboration with the GM and the front office. But at the end of the day, I'm sure part of him going there was that he had control over that team and he was going to run it the way that he wants to run it. Because most successful organizations, they have that guy. And they've got a head coach that has a vision for his team, understands his personnel, and is going to go out there and get the guys that he wants. And then everybody else falls in line with that. So Coach Carroll obviously is there. And then also the history that he had with Geno Smith.
And that was my point, right? With Carroll, it was Carroll may have wanted the cheaper option, but also what he feels like is the better fit in his quarterback coming in with year one with the Raiders.
Right, and he understands Geno Smith. He got the most out of him when he was in Seattle, and now he's making this transition. Also, philosophically speaking, he's a guy that can go into that locker room and understands what Coach Carroll wants in his team and also be another coach in that locker room and help facilitate that.
Speaking of Tom Brady, he won the Fanatics games and he won $1 million. Did you happen to see this?
What is the Fanatics game?
So we went to Fanatics Fest last year, and basically it's a whole lot of athletes that come and speak, and there are these little games you can play, and then a whole bunch of cards being sold because Fanatics is cards. Right. And I can kind of give you the story here. 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady emerged Sunday as the winner of the inaugural Fanatics Games, which had 50 athletes and celebrities against 50 fans in 8 competitions. Brady finished atop the 100-person leaderboard with 399 points, taking home the $1 million prize.
What were the games, though?
I'm glad you asked.
Hula hoop?
The competitors took part in 8 sports-themed skills competitions, including quarterback skills, basketball shooting, they played around the world, soccer goal scoring, baseball pitching accuracy, a washer-dryer hockey shooting challenge where they had it open, you had to shoot in it, a WWE superstar entrance, a UFC striking challenge, and a closest to the pin golf challenge.
Okay, I've played golf with him. I know that he's a really good golfer. So that's going to be pretty good there.
He for sure won the quarterback skills, or at least finished in the top 10. Because if you finish in the top 10 of any of these in the hundreds, you're getting some big points.
Yep.
So quarterback skills.
Check.
Yes. I don't know what kind of basketball player he is, but I've watched
with him before. He can shoot.
He can shoot?
Yep.
Soccer goal scoring?
I'm sure.
If you're like, I've played on the pitch with him before.
Isn't he part owner? Isn't he an owner? Isn't he an owner?
The pitching accuracy makes sense. He got drafted by the Expos.
Yeah, he was a baseball player.
The hockey thing, I don't know. A WWE superstar entrance, I'm sure they hyped Tom Brady
I
out.
saw it. Did you guys see it?
No.
Yeah, I saw a video of it.
Is it good?
He had a Eli Manning jersey that he grabbed from
Oh, I
a fan
saw that.
and then
Ripped it in two.
Yeah, so that was it.
Got it. I
Yeah.
saw him shooting against Eli playing around the world.
Okay.
So it wasn't all set up. Like, he really performed exceptionally well at these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 fans were among the top 10 finishers. James Harden was 4th. Eli Manning was 5th. And Tom Brady finished 1st. He's going to give $5,000 to each of the 50 fans who competed and then give the rest to charity.
He won $1 million.
Yeah. He won the $1 million.
Wow.
Did you see the video of him trying to identify Gronk? By any
No.
chance?
Yes, I did. That was awesome.
So funny.
He's right there.
He walks into a room and there are probably 20 Gronks. It's all got real humans. And
They're all dressed with the
just by
visor
their
on.
bodies, because they have on the 87. Gronk's 87, right?
Yeah.
87, the same Patriots jersey, exact same helmet. And Brady's like, okay, you're not Gronk. You're too tall. You're too. And then he's like, none of these are Gronk. And he walks out, and the real Gronk takes his helmet off. He's like, ah!
Really?
Yeah, he's
Wait,
like,
so you
we're not
got it or
friends.
no?
No, he
No.
didn't get it.
Okay.
He's like, none of you guys are Gronk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was great. I think he said,
awesome.
you're too small.
Yeah.
And it was Gronk. I mean, it was hilarious.
Does Brady have that, like, Jordan unhealthy competitive edge about him? Like, does he find a reason to competitively be unhealthy?
That's what I think made him so good for so long. I mean, because every offseason, he'd find something to push himself. Because when you're winning championships and all that, it's easy to get complacent and just accept it. But he'd always push himself. So whether it was martial arts or one year it was boxing, we'd go in, he'd go through this full boxing routine where we're hitting the bag and we're doing all this stuff and ducking. And he said it helped him with his footwork. Yoga one off season. So he's always finding something to push himself to be competitive. Then you get him out, and I said this before, probably about golfing. We get out there. I mean, he's a madman on the golf course. He wants to beat your ass, and he's competitive. And so he's trying to start bets and do all this stuff. But that's the nature of the beast, is he's ultra competitive in everything he does, and he wants to win.
How does he stay so good looking? Like, I think he might be getting better looking.
Plastic surgery.
Yeah, or
No, I'm just kidding.
what skincare product?
To him.
Like, yeah, it's just
I'm
like,
telling you, this dude, he doesn't age. I mean, he doesn't age. He's in better shape now than when he came out of college. But he's also one of those guys that goes back to the ultra competitiveness. Everything he does, he's meticulous. And so from what he wears and his outfits and all that stuff to his eating regimen, like, he eats healthy all the time and takes care of his body. And that's just him. It's in his DNA.
receiver DB Travis Hunter signed a 4-year contract with the Jaguars. The deal worth $46.6 million, fully guaranteed, includes $30 million signing bonus, which was paid up front. He's the first non-quarterback, not drafted first overall, to get his signing bonus entirely up front. He was the last of the top 10 picks to sign. I watched the Jacksonville when they were tweeting, and they did 2 different tweets. They're like, Jacksonville has signed wide receiver Travis Hunter, and it's him in the contract. And it's like, Jacksonville has signed defensive back Travis Hunter. It's kind of funny.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a unique talent. It'll be interesting to see what he brings to that team, because obviously the new head coach with Liam Cohen, what he gets out of Trevor Lawrence and everything else. But that guy is a dynamic player. I'm just interested to see how much he's going to play offensively, defensively, special teams, and what that workload's going to look like for him, because everybody's anticipating him being that dude. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I saw a video of him during camp, and he was dancing, and one of the other players was like, dude, stop dancing.
Yes, I did see that too.
So if a rookie comes in, highly touted, highly drafted, really paid, does he get a little more freedom than a rookie, even a 4th-round rookie?
I mean, there's definitely a pecking order, right? When you come in, you're the 2nd overall, 3rd overall. When you come in and there's an expectation and you having a little fun on the field, you get away with some stuff for sure, because the type of player that you are. But at the same time, you got to go out there and perform. And then also, that's why you got to have veteran guys on your team. When it's time to go to work and time to stop jacking around a little bit, you got to get on them and tell them and say, hey, let's go to practice. So he'll get a little leeway, but at the same time, you go out there and make the catch or make the play, I'm pretty sure you can dance all you want.
Yeah, the more catches you make, the more dancing you do.
Yeah,
I think we saw that with Ocho Cinco.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The more you do, the more you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
We're going to come back and talk to Willie Colon in just a second. Give us a second. Be back here on Lots to Say. Hey, Willie, I appreciate the time. I'm a big fan of when you played. Also love what you do in media. Also love hearing you on Rosello's podcast. So, appreciate you being here. I just want to start first with Aaron Rodgers, the news just came out that he says this will be his final season. Is he saying it or does he mean it? What do you think?
Well, honestly, I thought he was going to retire. I didn't even think he was, after everything that had transpired in New York. I thought in my head that was going to be the last call. But I feel like him in Pittsburgh, it makes sense. I see Aaron Rodgers as a hired mercenary, right? A hired assassin. I think Pittsburgh knows, and he knows that he has one more left in the chamber, and he doesn't want his legacy or his career to go down the way it went in New York, and so he's decided to join an outfit that's always ready to compete and trying to set a standard and compete for a Super Bowl. And I think he really wants to go out with a bang. So, I think this is it. But like I said, I thought it was it in New York. So who knows?
Let's talk about an Achilles injury for a second, because last year he played after having it hurt, and it seemed as the season went along, for whatever reason, and maybe it was because he was feeling better as the season went and healthier. One, can he all the way be rehabbed at his age from that Achilles to where it was even 3 years ago? And two, does he have enough in him to actually be a top 12 to 15 quarterback this year?
Well, I thought he was a top 10 quarterback last year. I think if you put his stats next to Josh Allen, they weren't far off. I mean, he had 11 interceptions. Josh Allen had 6. But their numbers were fairly, I think he had a 63% completion rating. So did Josh Allen. So they weren't off. But obviously 2 tales of 2 different seasons, on and on and on. Nevertheless, man, I still see him as a top 10 quarterback. One of the things that helped Aaron Rodgers last year, when Tyron Smith went down, they was able to get Olu Fashanu, their rookie left tackle. And I thought that solidified the left side of that line and allowed Aaron to buy more time in the pocket. And I thought last year he was, obviously coming off the Achilles, he was still dealing with a knee, a hip, an ankle. He started to break down. He broke down early. And then as the season went along, the Jets were out of it after week 8. He seemed to get healthier. And he seemed to get healthier right in time when they got Olu Fashanu in the lineup. And they started to play better. And you started to see examples of what he's capable of doing in his age. He still is not as quick and nimble as he was when he was, stacking MVPs with the Green Bay Packers. But you still see flashes of him having those big throws, those off-platform throws, his ability to improvise, and so it's a long injury. Like I tore my Achilles right after I won my Super Bowl. It took me 6 months to really kind of feel good and do things, and it took me a full year to feel like I'm back to neutral, where I can now get back to being who I want to be and how I want to play. The rehab process is tedious, and the mental grind of watching your brothers go to work while you're kind of on the sideline is even worse. So it's a 2-year injury altogether. But to get back to running and jumping and lifting and doing everything you can do athletically is roughly 6 months.
With that injury, we just saw a bunch of NBA guys get it as well, right? I think we saw 3 of them, from Dame to Halliburton to Tatum. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers, talking about yourself. How much of that is mentally trusting it more than it actually not being ready? Because I'm sure there's such a mental part of, okay, I believe it works, more so than it really just working.
Well, I think it's a case-by-case scenario. For me being an offensive lineman, I felt more confident because I remember I had talked to a doctor from Yale about the injury. I had never I never suffered from anything like that. And one of the first things they told me was like, hey, man, you're going to have to do more things barefooted so you get the strength and kind of get your foot firing like it was. And then out of that, man, it was more or less telling me like, hey, you're not a receiver, you're not a running back, you're not a DB. You're not going to be cutting and planning and changing direction like those guys have to do. You're going to be fine. You do your work in the box. So it gave me more optimism and more confidence that I was going to return back to the guy I wanted to be on the field. Those guys, as far as a point guard or just basketball play in general, there's so much instinctive work they have to do when they're out there doing their job. It takes more of not only your confidence, but also trusting that, the rest of your body is going to come into fruition. Because one of the things that happened to me when I tore my Achilles, I started having knee issues, right? Because my body was compensating for what I tore. And so it's a process. Confidence is huge, but also just really not just trusting your body, trusting your brain to react how you want it to react, and not second guessing yourself everything you do.
Did you have an age in your life where, and I think Scottie Pippen's an example of this. I also saw another person that grew a bunch, where you grew like a substantial amount in like a year time?
No, my genetics are different, man. My dad was roughly 6'4", 6'5". My grandmother was 6'3", so I had the height from that side. But my mom's folks were all, they're all big back and barrel chested people. We were all, so I got the in between of all that. But nevertheless, I never had a growth spurt like a Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen had, if you will. I kind of grew with my age. At one point, it seemed that the only thing that was growing was my feet, man, because my feet size matched my age. So when I was 12, I wore 12. When I was 14, I wore 14, and thank God I stopped at 17. So I wear a size 17, and I was wearing a 17 when I was 17. And my dad was like, "Man, we got to take you to the doctor. This ain't making sense. If you wear a size 17, you should be 6'10". And I was like 6 feet with a size 17. And then I think in college I grew 2 more inches.
I'm buddies with DeMarcus Ware, and he talked about in college he grew a lot, like from his freshman year until he finished at Troy. Like I think 6 or 7 inches through college, so not even a year, but he grew a substantial amount in college and went to a smaller school, which is Troy. Which again, right. And you went to Hofstra, so. When you went into Hofstra, did you have a bunch of offers? And physically, was the most development while you were in college?
No, I didn't have a bunch of offers. I had a lot of D1 AA offers, like Maine and New Hampshire and those type schools. I think I had one D1A offer, and that was to South Carolina. And it mostly wasn't because of my talent. It was because I didn't do a great job in the classroom, and they wasn't bothered with me. They didn't want to bother with me. So that was the issue. Nevertheless, man, it was a situation where like my transformation did come in the weight room in college, but what really happened was my athleticism really came into play. I had a great coach in Damian Wroblewski, who's now at the University of Maryland. Man, he had us jumping rope. We was doing plyos. We was doing so many things, and I grew up playing basketball, so I had naturally quick feet. And I was always the chubby kid on the team that could do everything athletically. I was just, I just happened to have belly and like snacks. But nevertheless, man, I attribute a lot of my athleticism and a lot of my footwork and things I was able to acquire, just me kind of being in the weight room. One, because I was always strong, but the athletic side, being able to jump, run, skip, doing all those things, the more dynamic stuff, I attribute to my college training. My offensive line coach at the time had a lot to help. He installed a lot of that in me too.
So when you go from Hofstra to the NFL, was the strength and the speed very different as opposed to if you were to come from one of the big Power 5 schools?
No, the strength and the speed was definitely a factor. My brand I played against guys who are big. I was bigger than it, right? I played against a lot of speed defensive ends, guys who like 250 who could just get off the ball really fast. When I got into the league, people understand my first start was against Baltimore. And it was against Trevor Price. He was 6'8", 290 pounds, right? Then my next start was against Sam Adams, who was 6'6", 360 pounds. And then I turned around the following year, because I started the next year against Cleveland, I had Willie McGinnis. So I was playing dudes who were not only big, fast, but like enormous human beings. So it was me taking, and I was considered an undersized tackle. I'm only 6'3". Most tackles are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys. I'm a 6'3" tackle on the edge. And I really had to use everything I learned, every God-gifted inch in me to fight these guys and compete. I remember my first game against Baltimore, there's a shot of me, man, where I look like I'm physically and emotionally and spiritually defeated. Because I had never played at that level, that high a level, especially against the Baltimore Ravens. And two, it was great. It was everything for me because I felt like I survived the game rather than thrived in the game. But as I was able to mature, and I had great coaches like, I'm drawing a blank, Russ Grimm. And because he was an undersized guard, because me and him kind of the same in stature, he instilled a lot of tools in me on how to be the combative, how to get after guys. I remember watching a lot of tape on Jason Peters when he was with the Buffalo Bills and how he used to set and go after guys. I didn't have long arms, so I had to always take the fight to guys. I couldn't sit back there like a Joe Thomas and vertical set and just take on the bull rush and do all that stuff. I remember playing against Jason Taylor and Vonnie Holiday and all these guys who were just extremely long, big guys, and they would use their arms and they would drive you right into the quarterback and beat you up, right? And so I had to I had to treat every snap like a bull coming out the cage. I just had to go at him, and that was kind of my game, using my footwork and my hands. And I learned a lot of that because of my coaches that I was able to be coached by.
Guys you lined up against, if I were to say who was one of the stronger guys you lined up against, and then who was one of the faster guys you lined up against, who would you say?
Man, so I've told this story. So I don't wear socks. I don't know if you knew that during your process. Did you know that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So I don't wear socks. And so one of the reasons I don't wear socks, because I used to like to feel the studs underneath my feet when I was getting off the ball. That was kind of like a trigger for me. And so we're playing the San Francisco 49ers. And the week prior, my offense line is Kendall Simmons, Alan Faneca, Marvell Smith, Jeff Hardings, all these guys who had won the Super Bowl and really just decorated guys on a lot of different levels. And so they were telling me, like, hey, young fella, you don't have to strap it up, man. You got Bryant Young this week. And I'm like, okay. I knew who he was, but I wasn't intimidated nor scared. But I knew I knew his career in Notre Dame and how long he had played. We played against the Niners, man, and me and him are in an absolute dogfight. Like, we were beating on each other, we getting off the ball. And I remember saying to myself, like, man, this dude's legit. And now one of the things I always got kind of labeled as being a badass because I didn't wear socks in my cleats. Well, there's a TV timeout. I'm sitting in the huddle. And, I got my lip busted. I'm breathing all heavy. We're looking at each other. He's looking at me. And I looked down at his feet. He doesn't have any socks on. And I'm like, okay. And I remember we had a duo play. And it's me and my right guard at the time. His name Kendall was next to me. And it's pretty much a double team to the backside linebacker. And I called the double team off. I'm like, no, I got him. I'm like, no. Like, I got him. I'm growling in my stance. And brother, man, I shot off the ball. He shot off the ball. It was like two bulls. Whack! And I can feel, man, I feel like I'm getting him. Like, I'm trying to get him. And he, no bullshit, he close pressed me off him like this. And I could feel his strength go through my body to the point where, like, I was, how like the old WWE when like Hogan and Warrior used to lock up and they used to be like this.
Yeah.
One would lose. That's how it felt. And I remember that never happened to me before. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember trying to like really dig in and get him. And he just slowly benched me off him, let me go, and went ahead and made the play. And I said, oh my God. And what's so wild about that, the offseason came around and that's all I thought about. That's all I thought about, him bench pressing me off him and kind of shedding me and going to make the play. And then I think the next time I looked up in the gym, like, he was charged with like HGH or something. He got knocked for something. And I was like, okay, there's hope, right? I'm not weak. There's more to the sauce than him just being bigger, faster, stronger, and built like a Greek god. And so that was cool. That was always a funny story. And then, I played against Haloti Ngata, man. Haloti was he's probably the best dude I ever played against. And I played against a lot of great guys, but he was, one thing about the NFL, everybody has a superpower. Right? Somebody's really smart, they're fast, they're strong, they got this. Everybody has an edge. The problem with Haloti is we were the same guy, same temperament, fast, big, strong, and we both had an effort mentality. Like, if you want to go to the backyard, we can be in the backyard and we can fight all day. And so that was the great thing about our rivalry against Baltimore, man. When your superpowers don't work anymore, what do? You fight, right? And so we were always kind of having that back and forth, getting after each other. And I got a lot of respect for him, man. But he was a dog, all dog.
I was going to ask you about the sock thing independently. I'm glad you brought that up because the only other player that I knew who would want to feel was Walter Payton. He would take the soles out of his shoes. And as a running back, he would take the soles out. And yeah, that felt weird, but he said he wanted to feel the turf. He wanted to feel the ground as a running back. So he wanted his feet to be as close to the dirt as possible. And I was going to ask you about the socks, if that was when that started, and did that last your entire career, or were you ever like, man, because when I don't wear socks, my feet stink, like just permanently. So tell me about the sock thing.
Well, one, I'm notoriously known for that, like having the most stinkiest locker and the stinkiest feet. In the locker room, they have this machine called the ozone, where you're able to throw your cleats in and kind of defunct your cleat. I think I broke one. My feet were so damn funky. It started in high school. Like I said, I had a big shoe size. I think my first pair of turf cleats, I was wearing a 16. and they didn't. My coach at the time there was a sporting goods store called Frank's in the Bronx, and they happened to somehow get these turf cleats that I was able to wear, and I had socks on at the time, and I started when I put my feet in these socks. Excuse me, when I put my foot in these cleats, I started to get like it was like irritating my foot. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was irritating my foot, and I started to get like this chafing thing going on. And so I said, damn with them. And then I simply just put my foot in there with no socks, and I spat it, and I had a great game, and I just kind of went with it. And that was my thing. And I did it in the league, but you get fined for not wearing socks. So I used to put the calf sleeves on. I used to put the whole sock on, cut the ankle off, and then tape. So yeah, so it looked like a sock, but it was no sock underneath.
That's so legit that you cut the feet out of the socks and just wore the calves, so you didn't get
did.
fined. Yeah, I want to ask a final question because I see the picture behind you, and then also your jersey there. I think of you as just a Steeler, like through and through a Steeler. And you mentioned the Ravens earlier on, and to me, professional rivalries are always of interest because the fans and the media, like they're the fans, like we live them. We hate the teams we're supposed to hate, and the media constantly propels it because it'll get clicks. Did you hate the Ravens as you played the Ravens?
I hated the Ravens because, first of all, the rivalry is real. I think that you have to tell the fans that, because I think there's this level of where people think it's all made up for TV. The rivalry was very real, and it was intense. I know I personally wouldn't sleep well going into Ravens games. Like, out of the week, I probably slept good 2 days out of that week going into Ravens games because your manhood was going to be challenged. And it was one of those games where you couldn't blink, meaning you couldn't show fear, and you couldn't look like the guy that didn't belong on the field. You had to match that level of intensity, or you was going to stick out, or you was going to get hurt, or you was going to get somebody else hurt. So it wasn't just about your A game, it's about bringing your will to the floor. And somebody may say, like, well, don't you do that every Sunday? You would think so. But sometimes when you're equally yoked as the guy across from you, and you know they have the same passion, the same pride, and the same fight as you, now you have to kind of match their intensity. And every time we played the Ravens, man, it was always intense. It was always in your face. It was, it's so funny because I just had Adelius Thomas and Bart Scott at my golf outing yesterday, right? Two great Ravens, right? And I work with Bart, obviously, because we both cover the Jets. But nevertheless, man, it always felt big. I don't know, no matter where we were in the standings, it always felt big, and it always felt real. And it was like a bloodlust that we had for each other. And I credit Hines Ward, man. Hines was always that guy. What was unique about Hines, when you talk about somebody setting the tone, it usually comes from a linebacker, or running back, or somebody on the defense that's a hard hitter. Never your, 5'11" slot Korean receiver, who looks to knock your damn head off. And he did. And how much hate they had for him. And I know hate's a strong word, but it was intense, man. We said extremely unchristian-like things to each other. We got after each other. And we were just, we were just two bulls on the block. You know what I mean? We were just always colliding heads, and it was real. But I loved it. It made my career. It was one of my favorite games. As much as I would not sleep and get the knots in the stomach and try to play my best, I love playing Baltimore. I love playing in Baltimore, and I love them coming home. Played them at home.
I saw your Instagram where you were playing golf. What's your handicap?
Oh, I'm horrible, man. I'm like a 26 or something like that. It's not good.
We have a debate on this show. If you find a certain brand of ball in the woods, because we're not very good either. If you find a certain brand of ball in the woods, what's the number one brand? If you see it, you're like, I don't even know if I want that ball.
Oh, probably Bridgestone.
Oh, come on. You with all the other guys. I picked Noodle. But
it was crazy. I started to say Noodle, but I found myself kind of liking the Noodle ball.
Okay.
I don't know why.
It's like not wearing socks. It's all feel.
It's all feel. Listen, my golf game is so up and down. I love it. I wish, one thing about golf, I wish I would have played it earlier in my career, because the beautiful thing about golf is it doesn't matter how mad you are. It doesn't matter how you feel about the game. You got to play the course. You got to present the ball with a level of education and mechanics to do the job, to hit the ball, to get into the hole. And so it requires you to kind of always get centered. Everything's about getting centered so you can do your job. And that's football, man. It doesn't matter how angry, pissed off, or fired up I am. I always had to get back to zero so I could do my job, right? And whatever came out of that, I had to still get back to zero. So, and that's very much golf. And so Ben Roethlisberger is a big golfer. We had some guys that loved golf. But I hated it up until I retired. Now I go to sleep with the Golf Channel.
Instagram at Willie Colon 66. Again, big fan of your work in all capacities. Like I watch you or listen to you or however I consume you. I'm a big fan of how you tell stories. And appreciate your time today, Willie. And here's to a great NFL season. And hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
All right, Willie. See you, buddy. All right, Kevin, what do you have for us over there?
All right, guys, I want to read through a list of topics here, and each of you to answer at what age should a grown man stop doing this as a sports fan. Okay?
We got two grown men right here ready to answer these questions.
That's right. And if there is no age, you can say that too.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'll write mine down, and then you'll go first, so I won't be affected by your answer.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Number one, wearing a player's jersey outside of going to a game.
Okay. I'm in, and I'd like to talk about why my answer is my answer. Are you in?
I'm in.
Go ahead. What's your answer?
25.
Why?
I just think, adult males after college don't need to be rocking jerseys unless you're going to the gym or something like that outside of 25. Like you're just wearing another man's jersey, not going to a sporting event. I'm pretty confident that 25 is my cap there.
And I like your answer. I went a little older, and I'll tell you why.
Because you do it?
No, but I did when I played rec softball wear a signed Mark Grace jersey, and I played awesome.
But I'm saying you're going to a sporting event.
No, I played rec softball wearing a signed Mark Grace jersey.
That's pretty baller right there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought I
mean, that's acceptable.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I put down 32. Now, I agree with everything you said. But what about, does it matter if it is like a vintage, like a retro? Let's say I'm going somewhere and my jersey is not a current player who's like a 23-year-old and I'm in my 40s, but it's like a Mean Joe Green jersey. Like it's like an old school, like the reason I went a little older is because I think I can get around that. I don't want to look lame wearing another dude's jersey because I'm wearing a Philadelphia Eagles Reggie White vintage jersey. I think that's pretty cool, and I think you can wear that as kind of a fashion statement more than just a lame. Because I agree with you, everything you said. I'm not pushing back on that at all. I think the only reason it can be a bit older is if the jersey is a bit older with older players, we're paying homage to the greats. But if you're out wearing a C.J. Stroud jersey and you're 42 and you're going to dinner on a Wednesday, that's pretty lame.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're sitting there. I totally agree with that. It warrants something if you're wearing a legendary jersey of a player and you're going to a concert or something like that and you've got the swag going, okay, it's a fashion statement. But if you're just going over to Ace Hardware and then going to go out.
Yeah. I think it's the age of the player you're wearing. I think if the age of the player is younger than you, it's kind of lame.
Yes, thank you.
It's a good point.
Yeah. You're wearing a kid's jersey and you're putting them up on the God pedestal. So I would say if we're just nuancing this thing, because I agree with your age, and I'm going to lift it a bit if it's like a vintage old school jersey, but that player's still older than you or dead. So you cannot wear the jersey of someone that's younger than you.
Okay, I'm with you.
I think we just came to the absolute rule. You cannot wear the jersey of a player that's younger than you if you're just going to chill. Now, if you're going to a game, I still think that's almost the rule, even if you're going to the game.
Like, how many Aaron Rodgers jerseys? There's going to be a bunch of them out there in the Steelers. Just 45, 50-year-olds.
And that's
rocking
weird.
It.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I think the general rule should be if
They've
I were
got to
a
wear Terry
dictator,
Bradshaw.
yes, you must go Bradshaw, or maybe even, but who's older, Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, that's a good question. Roethlisberger. He's definitely older.
Because Rodgers is 40.
40. Still looking around 40. Roethlisberger's 43.
Yep.
Looking around 55.
I played in a charity, like celebrity golf tournament with Roethlisberger a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Towering.
He's a massive human
And
being.
thick, not fat.
No, he's
Just a thick, big old boy. You're like, is that a
full body figure.
lumberjack over
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
43 and 41, Roethlisberger.
Wow, so close in age.
yeah.
So I couldn't wear a Roethlisberger jersey then, because I just beat Roethlisberger in age.
But you can wear a Rodgers jersey.
No,
Oh.
I can't. He's younger than me. No, I think.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I think
Flopped.
no man should wear any jersey of a player younger than them, regardless.
I think you just set a new rule.
Yeah, I think that's the
Okay.
rule.
For at a game and not at a game, both.
Yeah, both. You shouldn't worship an athlete younger than you. You can root for them, but you shouldn't worship them.
That's fair.
Unless they're your sibling.
Yeah, if they're family, that
Yeah,
works.
that's fair.
Yeah, now we're just throwing curveballs.
Yeah, we want to make sure we check all the boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
All right, next up.
Next one, bring a baseball glove to a game.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what?
You want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
No age, as long as the kid's with you.
I was just going to say that. For sure. If you have a kid with you and you're going to a game with the purpose of catching a foul ball for your child, totally makes sense. If you're going to a game by yourself.
Oh, different age. Hold on. 'Cause I like that. Okay, good. I have no age if you have a kid with you. It's a bonding thing.
Yeah.
Okay, by yourself. I'm in at 22. 22.
I was going to say college is the cutoff for
when
sure.
you graduate college, catch it with
is
your
the
bare
cutoff.
hand, you little baby.
Yeah, or, I mean, even if maybe high school, I mean, I don't know if we even drop that down to like 18. Like you can start smoking and buying cigarettes, and at that point, that's your end point for bringing a glove because you just got to man up and catch that ball with your hand.
And if you're on a date, don't take a glove with you if there's no kid. I don't care how old you are.
Yeah, what are you going to catch her a foul ball and she's going to keep it forever?
You
guys are
got to
gonna
walk
break
around
up
with a
tomorrow.
glove. Yeah, walk around with a glove, loser.
Yeah.
Catch it with your bare hand.
Honey, I'm proposing tonight. That's why I brought the
Yeah.
glove. Okay, maybe in that circumstance.
All right, next up.
Okay, paint your face in the team colors.
Never.
Going to a game.
Oh, you're going never to start.
No, you can't. Again, you got to stay at 22, like right around that college age where you're still entrenched in the environment of college football or going to a stadium and you're with your buddies or your girlfriends and you're just like, let's rage. Okay, I get it. But anything past that, if you're an adult living in the real world, don't need to paint your face.
I'm going to say 35, but only if you're doing it with other people. You can't go to a game by yourself and you be the only one painted. But if there's like 8 of you and you're like the dog pound.
Oh, you're part of like the community, like the
Yeah,
Raiders, like the Black Hole
Yes.
or whatever it might be. But that's like costumes. It's dress up. So they're still painting their face. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it if it's done in a group. There's power in numbers of being weird. So I'm going to say if you and all your boys are going to a game and you decide we're going to be stupid and take our shirts off and paint our chest and face, like I'm not going to do that. It ain't for me. But it's just when you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, by
That's when it,
yourself puts you into a whole nother category.
So I'm going to go a little older, but I'm going to put the caveat of you have to do it with other people or it looks really weird by yourself.
I'm going to catch a game by myself. Hold on. Paint it.
Painted with the glove and a
the
jersey. Yes. All right, next one.
Okay, bash an athlete on Twitter.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know about this one. You can't really cap it. Because there are fans everywhere that are fanatical and they want to have their opinion. And right now in our society, social media gives them that ability.
But like, at what age are you like, dude, you're a grown man, like you're taking time out of your day to come comment or say something bad?
Well, do I think it's ridiculous that people go on and make comments half the time? Yeah, of course I do. But at the same time, I'd say as soon as you get into that 40 realm, it's like, do you really want to spend your time capping on a 21-year-old kid that missed the ball or crapping all over a player for a bad performance?
I would say it also, like, what are we playing, college or professional? I think that matters too.
Professional.
It's weird. I've never gone on and bashed an athlete.
Me neither.
And I have big
Shockingly.
opinions about everything all the time. I've bashed organizations. I've questioned coaching decisions. But I've never been on and just been like, this person sucks.
Or felt like you had to go write that in.
And maybe it's because people will do that to me and it feels so personal. So that could be a reason too that people will come after me and say personal things because of the job that I do. And at times maybe I don't perform as well as others. So that could possibly affect it. But I'm going to say What age can you rent a car? 26?
Yeah.
Okay, that's when you should stop throwing spears at specific athletes.
Okay. When you can rent a car?
Yeah.
I think the issue, though, with this is that with the betting now and everybody, I think
Fantasy?
fantasy betting, that's changed the world because
Great
I've got
point.
so many friends that are 40 plus, 50 plus. Look, they've got their parlays, they've got this, that, and the
Great
other.
point.
And they're just emotional that they missed their parlay or they missed this based on one player's performance. And I don't know if they actually snap back at those guys on social media or the players, but at the end of the day, that's what this world's come to is they have to get their frustrations out some way because they just lost a bunch of money.
Then I would like to retract my statement that I've never said anything bad. Because I've not taken shots, but I have said things like, if Jamal Charles would have got me 4 more yards, I would have. And
That's
I don't.
taking a shot.
Is it though, or is it stating a fact?
No, I don't count that.
Or I was 1 leg away if Chet Holmgren gets 1 more block. So if that doesn't count, I still don't think I've ever seen anything bad about an athlete. If that does, then I have many times because I didn't think about that. I do let my fantasy and betting, it is reflected in my posting.
Yeah.
But I don't ever go after the person because it's not really their. It could have been the scheme that week.
Right.
More so than the player. Does that count as talking bad about somebody if I say, man, if they'd have gotten 6 more yards or 1 more catch, I'd have won the game, that my fantasy game this week?
No. Because you're along with, hundreds of thousands or whoever are also on the same boat.
And I'm not blaming the player ever.
Right.
I'm just saying if they would have. And that could have been, again, a quarterback's fault. It doesn't matter.
Now, if he drops like a pass that would have got you at the last second, then you're like, oh, if he would have caught that pass, but he can't catch.
Yes.
But,
And then
okay, but I think I might have
if
said,
you're going
there's
negative,
layers to
there's
it.
layers.
I
of how
might
you
say
make
if
that
he would have
comment.
caught that last ball, but I don't think I would have ever said he can't catch.
Right.
Because obviously he's in the freaking NFL, and I think I handle it differently because people take shots at me all the time. So I don't think I'm the normal person, but I'm still putting it at 26.
Okay.
26.
We got
okay.
back to 26.
When you can rent a car, that's when you need to shut up about specific players sucking because you haven't done anything in your life. You barely can rent a car, loser. There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I like that.
All right.
All right.
Next one here. Asking an athlete for an autograph.
Well, for me, this one's tough. I think it's fair to be a fan and to ask an athlete for an autograph when you're an adult, but it's got to be within. Again, I'm cutoff point for me is usually around college, like to ask for an autograph, or it's hard because I respect the fans in that. So I'll say 30, but I will say this: we've been out at training camp before, and they have the autograph seekers, right? Or you'll be going to your hotel the night before a game, and they're sitting out there. These are grown adults with multiple things to sign, trying to get you to sign a blank sheet of paper just to get your autograph and sell it and do that stuff. And there's little kids, and they try to jump in front of these little kids, and it infuriates me watching them do that. And I know they're trying to make a buck and do whatever they want to do, and they've got something going on the side. But for kids, it's one thing. Grown adults getting in front of other kids to try to, push their way in there and get autographs for their own, because they're just trying to sell it, right? It has no purpose other than them trying to monetize it. So, this one's hard for me. All right, I'll say 30.
I've played shows at the Ryman Auditorium here in Nashville, and you run into those guys, and they basically have a big piece of cardboard, and they have like 6 things on it, and they're like, Bobby, will you sign this? But don't make it out to anybody.
Right. Never personalize it.
Because if you do, it loses the value in resale completely. And that's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you still do it because, I do, because what's my autograph worth? Very little. So you still do it, and you sign everybody else's thing too going in. But it does feel like the older they are, the goofier it feels until you're like, you know what, they're just trying to make a living. I also own part of a sports memorabilia business. But again, I don't walk around asking athletes to sign them. Mostly that's a room set up with a bunch of stuff where the athlete goes
And
in,
you
gets
pay them for
paid
it, right.
a blanket amount, and they sign everything.
Right.
I think if you can grow facial hair, it starts to get weird if you're just asking for an audit. Unless it's like a legend. Man, that's a tough one.
That is a really tough one.
Because
I mean,
if I had like a really cool old I'll just give an example because I'm looking at one now, like old Dallas Cowboys helmet, and Herschel Walker was like standing there. I'd be
ask
like,
him.
dude, I'd be like, hey, I was a big fan of yours. Would you mind signing this old helmet? So I think it just matters.
In the right setting, though,
Yeah,
too.
I agree.
Because setting matters.
Big time.
Like if somebody comes up to you and you're at the restaurant with your wife and they say, hey, could you sign this for me? That's a weird circumstance.
Can we also insert the if they're older than you rule, it's okay? Because again, if I see Larry Bird and I got a ball, freaking Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I need you to sign that because you're still kind of a kid to that person that affected you when you were a kid. So I almost want to put that if they're older than you, you can ask for an autograph at any time. If they're younger than you, we have some rules we need to talk about.
Yes.
When in doubt.
That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, when in doubt, go with that line, that parameter.
If they're older than you and they were cool to you as a kid and you would have wanted their autograph as a kid, I think it's still okay as long as you're not being creepy and like they're not with their kids, they're not have food in front of them. It's okay to ask for an autograph.
Yeah.
But it's when an older man comes up to you who's 15 years older than you and is like, we sign my shoe. That's when it gets weird.
It does get weird.
Good question, though. Give me one more.
Okay, last one. Crying after a loss, after your favorite team loses, as a fan, crying.
Will you define crying? Because I cry like this. God, we suck at everything.
No, I'm talking about,
No,
I've seen actual
like
fans cry.
cry.
Like, I'm talking tears.
All right, so 6 years old is mine.
Yeah,
Like, you don't even have to be an adult. If you're an adult, you shouldn't be crying after your team lost. Maybe
know.
after a victory.
I could see that. I could see that.
Celebration.
Yes, like a tear,
but-
a celebration
right.
tear.
No, like a sadness, loss. You're a Pacers fan, just loss.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if you're an adult, you don't cry after a loss. I think a cry after a win is a different feeling, a different emotion.
Yes.
Because you've experienced that with somebody or some years you've spent. After a loss, it's like, bro, people are at war right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Like
and
people are hungry right now. And I don't feel rage in my life. Like I don't ever get too high or too low. It's something I go to therapy for because I don't feel that often. I think I got numb from my early childhood at just really not having parents and having to survive. So I don't like look forward to things. I don't have hopes for things, but also things don't affect me that much on the bottom side either, where I'm just like,
You're just calloused.
very much so. But I've really been trying to work my way out of that with a lot of therapy. And that being said, I've never experienced so much rage where I wanted to like punch somebody, or I can just be like, I'll move on. Like I might get triggered or competitive and want to kill somebody, but I never feel that rage where it's like throw something through a television, except for when Arkansas loses.
I was just about to say.
That's the only time I see red in my eyes.
Like I'm starting to think about this, and you've been through some difficult
It's
circumstances just
awful.
this year.
It's just this year. It's awful. And I get so rage filled. But I now can understand what people, that feeling they get toward just general life.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I still have never cried. That's my point.
Never
Like,
cried
at
for
a loss.
Arkansas. Yeah.
At a loss.
Like if you were gonna cry, it was the other night for the World Series.
That was a bad one. Sweet 16 was a bad one. We can
Sweet
walk through
16.
the whole thing.
Softball?
2 players had food poisoning. My brother-in-law's coach on the team. We could do football. The thing about football was stupid because we lose a terrible Oklahoma State game, but then we beat Tennessee, a game we shouldn't have won, that kept the coaches around longer. I wanted to cry after that. Wait, we won, but now our coaches are going to be here longer. I still have never cried because of a loss because I'm an adult.
Yes.
I
I just haven't cried over,
Yeah.
as an adult, have not cried over a game.
This might be human, and again, it felt so weird, but when my brother-in-law, who's now at Arkansas, he went to Utah to be the hitting coach. It was his first job, and he was hitting coach, and he took them to their first ever College World Series, and after they won the game, I got like a tear. But I think that was family for him.
Yeah, that's
but-
deep.
Yeah, that right?
But
That's
they
not
went-
just
that's celebrating family.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
the emotional
I never
side
even
of
had
it.
that before.
Hey,
though,
you
so
get the
that was
pass
kinda
on that.
weird.
You get the pass on
Okay,
that. Don't
all
worry.
right,
Yeah.
good.
All right, so you did cry.
After a win, though.
After a win, that's what I'm saying.
After a
After a
win.
win, it makes sense to me. After a loss, it's devastating. You feel helpless. But at the end of the day,
It's a game.
and you didn't play.
Yeah. And
Like-
it's weird to say that it's a game because we invest so much of our lives
Right.
and your career into sports, and it matters so much, but it only matters to a point. I have to remind myself that sometimes.
Yes.
I have to look in the mirror and go, it's just a game, and tomorrow the sun will come up again.
Yeah, as a fan, I haven't done it. As a player, there's been emotional games. Like when my dad passed away and we went and played against the Raiders, and then Coach Belichick brought the team up and presented me with the game ball. There was this emotional release because I hadn't really cried that week, and it all happened so sudden where that's an emotional just, things are coming out. But like watching the Dodgers lose the World Series or do something like that, or the Lakers or something, I'm just like, that's part of sports. You're going to win, you're going to lose.
I also think, and you made a good point, it doesn't even have to be the loss of something. I think if you work all season, let's use the Pacers this last week when they lost their game. I think if you lose, it's okay to cry a little bit if you were the one playing.
Yes.
As a fan, okay, stop. Stand up, shake your hands, shake your feet, get a little in your extremities, and then stop being a little wimp. It sucks, but don't cry. But if you're like McConnell and you've played your freaking face off, you deserve to cry. That's okay. I'm not going to judge you for crying if you actually played the game because you put time, heart, soul, your body into this.
Yeah, it was a grind.
Yeah, but I feel rage, man. I punched the couch. My wife has never, because again, I'm never too high, never too low. I will start punching couches.
I would love to see you just have a complete breakdown.
You will never see it.
Can somebody film this, please?
I don't get around people when I watch stuff.
You have to watch by yourself?
By myself.
Is it only Arkansas?
Yes.
Yeah, only Arkansas.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
99%. Yes.
99%.
I mean, there are bad beats in gambling, but even then, I'm just like, of course.
Of course, I lost because I'm a
terrible
idiot,
degenerate,
terrible gambler.
All right,
and they told me to bet that parlay, and it looked good,
and it looked great.
I had 2 out of the 3.
It was so meaty.
Gosh,
I'm so stupid.
Just lost again.
Then I just cry because I'm a loser, not even about the game. All right, we're done. Thank you guys. Oh, Kevin, we got to pick a book.
Yes.
Did you? What do you think?
So I saw a few comments on there. By the way, the jerseys. They reached the destination. Both of them.
Awesome.
Both of them.
All the way to Germany.
Let's go.
Took only 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Mailman, who even knew?
I know.
Yeah.
What
I know.
service?
So let's look at some, I'm going to pull up some comments.
If you just tell me, I think what we should do is if you just tell me how many there are, I'll just pick a number and that's the one we do.
Okay.
Because then we're not judging based on creativity in the comments, which I never really wanted that to be.
Bobby Dance With Me was the comment?
And they were all over it.
Were they?
Yeah. I don't know how many there are, but I'm going to pick number 14. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Danny says, dance with me, Bobby. Last time I tried to buy your book, Bare Bones, on Amazon, the copy I wanted was out of stock. So, Danny.
Let's go, Danny. Dance with him.
Yeah, Danny. His name is just Danny from 4 days ago. Kevin, I don't know how you're going to find him. He's going to message you. But message Kevin, Kickoff Kevin. What's your Instagram name?
Yep, right there. Kickoff Kevin.
Danny, message Kevin, and then we will send you an autographed book. And thank you for listening.
Shoot a DM.
That's it. Boom, we're done.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
He's Matt Cassel. That's Kickoff Kevin. That's Brandon Ray. I'm Bobby Bones. And we have had lots to say. We will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.